Hi, so today I wanted to talk to you about 3 apps for assessment for learning in the classroom using some very simple digital tools. And these are all apps beginning with P. So these are the 3 Ps of AFL that I use quite frequently. The first that I'm going to look at is Padlet. Padlet is a fantastic resource that allows you to easily share questions and answers with your students in a different way of doing assessment for learning. This can be done at home or also can be done in the classroom. So here's an example of a Padlet that I created. I named the students across the top, and then I asked them to write 5 questions about a topic we were covering in computer science. I then allowed the other students the opportunity to choose one set of questions and answer those questions. So here we have Robbie's work. He wrote those questions. And then what Anirin would do is Anirin would then try and answer Robbie's questions. Robbie would try and answer Anirin's questions. So this is a different way of doing an assessment for learning. Students can peer assess each other. They can write their own questions. It's also a really good way of using knowledge organisers to make sure your students are aware of what those key pieces of information are that they need to know. I've also used this in transition. So with transition activities for students, I've asked them some questions and then they can fill in their answers about their best bits of transition. So it can be about a topic, it could be a what went well, even better if. To make a Padlet, the free version allows you 3 or 4 simple Padlets. There is a paid version, but there's also a school license that you can get. And you can set your Padlet up in a number of different ways. There's a map version here, which could be very interesting. This looks more like a chat style. There's the nice organised stacked way, which I personally like. There's a timeline, or there's the more artistic sort of canvas way. So if I choose the one that I would probably use the least personally, which is this canvas way, it gives you some information at the beginning. You can change colours and styles, and then you start posting. And you just click on here to add your Padlet at the button, and then you can fill this in. You can add here a link, you can upload a document, you can take a photograph, you can do a link from the internet as well. And then you can use this then as a sharing link here, a QR code again, a link to the clipboard, or you can embed it, share it on Google Classroom automatically, or if you copy the link, you can share it on your Microsoft Teams. Or you can share it as a straightforward image, which is really useful if you're trying to look for some printed evidence of what you've been doing. That's just a quick run through of using Padlet for assessment for learning. A different way of doing assessment for learning would be to use Poplet. Again, it's free. It can be linked through your Gmail. This is one I've done for ICT Unit 1. It's a different way of them looking at a topic and answering some questions. Again, the students can have it shared with them. So this is data, information and knowledge. And if I zoom in a little bit here, I've got my main topic here, and then the 4 areas that I expect them to be able to define. So data, information, knowledge, garbage in, garbage out. They can either share it and write directly onto here. They can add their own Poplet to it, or you can print this out as a different way of looking for assessment. Again, you can collaborate with somebody. You can copy it there as a link to share it to your students that way. So Poplet allows you within a Popl, you can add an image, text or a link straight into here. You can also add a link for them, which is like a YouTube clip, for example, which they could then play it and use that as a stimulus for a start point for a piece of assessment. And the third P that I use for assessment for learning is Plickers. Plickers is a single device assessment tool. So you can set your classes up with your students' names, and you can set up a quiz set that you ask them questions, and then you print off small QR style codes. Each student has one, they're named, and then during the lesson you ask them the question and you hold your iPad up and you scan the room with your iPad, and it takes the answers from your students. So each of them will have a particular code, and depending on the way up they hold that code, we'll register it as an A, B, C or D. Now it does rely on multiple choice, and obviously you need to take care when creating a multiple choice question to make sure it is fit for purpose and it actually asks them what you want them to answer properly, and try to avoid ambiguous answers. So there's a set here, knowledge organisers, and you put your own answers in and you say whether it's true or false, and then it records your answers on a score sheet here. Now, I don't think I'll have any score sheets at the moment, but I can select a class. These are old classes, and I can then see, I put the names in myself and I can see what their scores are. I can print this as student reports as well. So these are my 3 Ps for quick assessment for learning using digital tools, and hopefully that gives you an idea of some of the other ways we can easily conduct assessment for learning in schools in a slightly different way. These can also be used, with the exception of clickers, these can be used at home for blended learning as well.